Hello, gorgeous. Thank you so much for joining us on our first episode of our new web series we're going to call Conversations with the Founder. Today's host is me, Brittany, and to my left is Sharon Gill, or Mom to me, the brain and vision behind the Gorgeous Woman movement. And today we have some questions that I think people want to know.
Okay.
So let's dive right in.
Alrighty.
When you look back on 2025, how would you describe the year for you personally and for the Gorgeous Woman movement?
Each year, as you know, I pick a theme for our conferences, but the truth is the theme typically comes from my own time with the Lord, my own quiet time. And in 2025, the word I got was expansion. And for me personally, I felt I had to do a lot of stretching and growing. I had to venture out into having a conference in 2 different cities.
Right.
And I had to trust my team in North Carolina, for example, because I wasn't there. So I learned how to let go and let God, so to speak. And I myself just had to go through a lot of learning. I learned, some stuff about myself as well. I learned that expansion, can be painful.
Right.
It's a stretching, it's a changing, it's a evolving. And I saw where, there's a saying that says that the more you do or the higher you go, the more challenges you have. And even though I wouldn't say I had a lot of challenges, but I did notice at the end of the year, after doing a lot of expansion, I felt like I had some personal challenges I had to deal with.
Right. And it's really good when something that you're working on can grow you personally.
Yes.
Which is why I think you put so much of yourself into this movement, into this ministry, because it grows you, it helps you, it teaches you so that you can help grow and teach others. So I really admire that.
It's a good point. Brittany, I always say, but just first of all, I just have to say too, that it's wonderful having my daughter interview me. But something you just said, I always say to leaders, especially in the ministry, you shouldn't preach what you're not living, right? So you're right. It first grows me before it can grow someone else.
Right. You can speak from a place of authenticity always.
Yes.
Like that.
That's
so
right.
Would you say that there was a defining moment in 2025 that shifted something for you? You kind of touched on that in your previous answer, expanding, growing. But you could even say in your spirituality, your faith, or the ministry itself.
Like if there was a particular thing that shifted me. I guess I go back again to just letting go and trusting. That did, I felt like a larger person somewhat.
Right.
I felt like, I also think to getting older and just getting more mature, growing personally, I don't have to prove a lot of things. I don't feel like I have to prove, I have to be the first or the leader, or I feel like I can let go and let others lead. Because this ministry, this movement is all about empowering women and having them step up to their full potential. And a big part of that is for us older ones to step back a little bit, right? And to allow space and growth for the others. I am actually loving that. Like you being here today. I'm loving that it's, changing up the guards, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Changing up the guards. So I think for me, again, just expanding reminded me that it's more of a legacy time for me now. When you pass 50, and especially when you pass 60, you think more of your legacy. And so I think that came into focus a little bit more for me than last year.
As a lifelong leader, delegation is a skill.
Yeah.
Being able to pass off work to others is a literal skill. I think it's an easier thing to do if you kind of don't really want to take on the load yourself or you're used to leaning on others. But if you're a leader and you're usually in charge of really difficult things and there's high stakes, it's easy to feel like I've got to do this. So being able to say, okay, I'm going to release this to someone else is a definite marketable skill that I can point to as a leader. So that's really great. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Every year has its high points and its hard points. Can you take us into one of the challenges that you experienced in 2025 and how you felt like God showed up for you?
After the conferences were all done, I had the North Carolina conference and I had the South Florida conference. I don't know, I found myself in this place of like anxiety for some reason, right? And it was a low point for me because I had a great year, I had a growing year, and then at the end of the conference, like a week later, I had a cold, and then after I had the cold, I just felt just anxious for no reason. And I really had to lean on my faith a lot, and good counsel, good advice. You advised me as well. But that was a really low point for me. And I had good friends who said, it's because I'm trying to do more for God, and it's it's a spiritual attack. And I do believe that there was a lot of I really felt spiritually attacked, and so I had to balance and to weigh, okay, how much of this is really me, how much of this is something else. And so I always seek my answer in the Bible, and I really got a lot of comfort from just going back into the Word and just remembering other difficult times that I had to face, and how God really pulled me through. I had to lean a lot on that at the end of last year. So I would say that was my low point last year, because everything else was going so great.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, you've always taught me that faith is like a muscle, and you have to work it out.
Yeah.
Even if you're like what we would consider maybe a big Christian, or someone who's very loud for the Lord, who's been in ministry for decades, you still have to work on your faith muscle. If you're not stretching it, then your faith isn't going to grow either. So I think experiencing that challenge and forcing you again to lean on God is just another exercise of faith for you, and it seems like you pulled out of that pretty well.
I really appreciate your thought on that, because I think a lot of times people think that because you are a big faith person, or you're a pastor or a minister or a leader, that I have enough faith to last me a lifetime. I can personally attest to the fact that my faith has to be stretched every single day.
Right.
If I'm not spending time in God's Word, Brittany, I'm like everybody else, easily fall away, easily get discouraged, easily get depressed. And so, as you know, you see me a lot of times, I'm in the Bible. And someone may say, why do you have to be in the Bible so many times, or so many days, or so many hours? It's because, like you said, people go to the gym, and they go to the gym every day to stretch that muscle. I have to stretch my own faith muscle every single day, because I'm prone to wander, I'm prone to be discouraged, I'm prone to be just like the people in the Bible, right? David was discouraged,
Right.
Elijah was discouraged, and these were men of God, right? But I really appreciate that point, because I think too many leaders and pastors and ministers, and too many of us rely on yesterday's faith that does not carry you through today.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So if you had to give 2025 a word or a theme, just one, what would you choose?
I would say it was discovery. And I would tell you, it wasn't what I was going to say before, but as I sat here, I could have said stretch, I could have said expansion, I could have said all of that. But I think discovery in this moment for me means for me that I learned a lot about myself.
Right.
My limitations, my expansions, my weaknesses, and my strengths. So I discovered a lot about myself.
Yeah. Learning doesn't really stop.
No.
Doesn't matter how old you get, learning does not really stop. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Let's look forward. What's on your heart for 2026? Are there any new initiatives or conferences or things that God is leading you to?
Yes, because actually I'm very excited about this year, because our ministry was granted a wonderful gift from a donor, and that gift is allowing us to expand our ministry a lot. And so I'm planning to do more pop-up events this year. I'm also planning to explore a third city.
Right.
I may not have the conference there this year, but I am looking into a third city. I think I'm leaning towards Texas, because a lot of our followers of the ministry are from Texas. And I am looking to expand the themes of like mental health, mental health and its balance with the church, and how people feel about mental health in the church. So I want to bring that more to the forefront. I'm also looking to bring more young people like yourself, and even younger, into the ministry as well. And so I am looking forward to just having more touch points with the community, so that I can get more people involved in our movement. So looking forward to that.
With that being said, if you're a young person who's watching this right now, and they're maybe hesitating about whether or not they would want to come to a conference like this, or their previous conference experiences have been just boring or whatever, what would you say to that person who's on the fence?
Well, I would say in the past, I've tried to find a way at these conferences to reach out to young people. And what I've learned from the young people who do attend our conference is that they actually appreciate the older perspective. And so if you're a young person, there's so much to glean from the speakers, and there's so much to learn. And I know we can learn from you as well. It's like a circular mentorship. And so there is so much that young people can get from these conferences. And so I encourage young people to come And we want to learn from you too. We want to hear from you and want to learn from you as well. But I don't know, you've been there. What are your thoughts on the conference from a young perspective?
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think there's a lot of noise online, especially on TikTok, YouTube, social media, people who are trying to impart ideas onto us, especially my generation and Gen Z and younger. And I think I have to say, I agree with you. There are a lot of really wise people, Christians, who have lived longer, who have followed God longer, who have a lot more to say and a lot to teach that we can follow. So as a young person, I would definitely encourage you to come. And I'm not just saying that because this is my mother. I honestly wasn't super excited about the very first conference that she ever did. I was like there because I had to be. But then I really enjoyed it. It was very moving, and I realized this is something special. And I think it transcends age groups. It's not just 50s, 60s and above. It's really 20s, 30s, even teens, I would say, would find something from the conference. So I would have to agree with you. So I will wrap it up on the actual conference itself. Can you please give us the details of what cities you're going to be in this year, the time, the date, all of that?
Okay, we're back in North Carolina again on April 18th in Charlotte area, and we are going to be at Indian Springs Country Club this year on September 26th in South Florida. So that's exciting. But also, before that, Grit, we have a vision workshop that's happening, a pop-up event that's happening at the end of this month, January 31st. We're having it locally in Boynton Beach and also online, because we believe that God has a plan for your life, and that it's a wonderful opportunity to come and explore what it could be. I think before you make a vision board, you should actually have an idea of what your vision is. So we're inviting you to come out to that as well.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds awesome. Thank you so much for joining us for our first episode, and we hope to see you back next week.
Thank you for hosting.
Absolutely. I'll do what I can.